I'm John Batchelor. This is the John Batchelor Show. Following the President of the United States Embassy as President Barack Obama to Israel, John Kerry, the Secretary of State for the second term, makes his initial entry into the conversation between the government of the State of Israel and the Palestinian Authority. News within these last days complicates considerably the measurement of the success or not success of Mr. Obama's and Mr. Kerry's embassies. The resignation of Salam Fayyad, Prime Minister of the Palestinian Authority, presented abruptly and finally to the elected president once upon a time, Mahmoud Abbas, pointing to the question of what has Mr. Kerry wrought and what now. I go to Abe Katsman, writing most recently in the Daily Beast, anticipating troubles ahead, and here they are with Mr. Fayyad's exit. Abe is a commentator on events in Israel. He's an American attorney living in Israel, and he serves as counsel to Republicans abroad Israel. Abe, a very good evening to you. Thank you for this. Fayyad's exit, does that signify for Kerry's embassy? Because in your very careful Daily Beast piece, you point to the fact that Kerry's fresh idea was the 2002 initiative by the Saudi kingdom, the Saudi peace plan. So what does Fayyad, absent from the scene, mean for Mr. Kerry's ambition? Good evening to you, Abe.
Well, thank you for having me, first of all. What exactly this resignation means is, fortunately for people who talk about politics for a living, there is all kinds of conjecture that we can have about this. The first, keep in mind that even President Abbas was supposed to stand for election in 2009. So exactly what kind of Palestinian Authority exists and with what kind of legitimacy and what kind of authority is in itself a question. Now, Fayyad has actually resigned at least 3 times before. He's threatened to resign I don't know how many times. And even now it seems that while President Mahmoud Abbas has accepted this resignation, for the moment, it looks like Fayyad is going to sit as a caretaker prime minister. So it's very tough to say exactly what's going to happen. If we take it as at face value that he is out, that is a big change. I don't know that we can write him off so quickly.
All right, not writing him off. I'll pencil him in the margins. Let's go back to Mr. Kerry's Ramallah conversation, the 2002 Saudi peace plan. My memory, to leap back to those early days in dealing with, at that time, it was Arafat's goons and his evil doing that was driving the story. My memory is that this was unacceptable in 2002, and since then there's been a lot of change in the landscape. Gaza, for example, is now in the hands of a criminal organization fed by Iran, chiefly missiles that fire into Tel Aviv. Mubarak is gone. Assad is holed up in his castle and waiting for the end of days. And Hezbollah is now fighting openly in Syria. So the 2002 Saudi peace plan exists as an historical document. Does it have relevance in any fashion to the conversation in 2013?
Well, elements of it might, but it's easy to say that, but when it comes down to it, they're the same elements that anybody would discuss. They just also happen to be included in the Saudi peace plan. The Saudi peace plan, in essence, allows for recognition of an entity called Israel, not a Jewish state of Israel, but an entity of Israel, and calls for a just solution to the Palestinian refugee problem, which, according to the Saudis themselves, means a so-called right of return for all of the descendants of the refugees from 1948 into Israel. So it's kind of a non-starter for Israel. On top of which, the recognition that would come to Israel, as you mentioned, look, the map is a lot different. Egypt is a lot less stable. Jordan is less stable. All the states here, as a result of the Arab Spring, we don't know what governments are going to be in power 6 months from now. And for Israel to pretty much stick its neck out, trusting that whatever government takes over is going to say, okay, well, we also agree with that. They'll endorse whatever the prior government did. I don't think that's a very good idea. I don't think it's going to happen, and I don't think Israel is that suicidal.
In addition to Mr. Kerry bringing a plan that dates back more than 10 years, he also spoke during his embassy to Israel of Turkey and of a rapprochement with Turkey. There are events now that mitigate his speaking in this fashion. However, the suggestion here is that Turkey and Israel are just having a spat, perhaps neighbors who see the wrong way. Is that the opinion right now of Turkey and Israel, that it's just momentary and that it will knit together?
I wish that were the case. I don't think anybody in Turkey thinks that way, and I don't think anyone in Israel sees it that way. There are fundamental differences. The Turkish government is, in essence, an Islamist government. They have a nice Western face, but when it comes down to it, they've got a nice relationship all in all with Iran. Obviously a complex relationship because of their own Kurdish population with the Syrians and the whole Syrian situation, but they have been belligerent in terms of their antagonism toward Israel, really for the last 3 or 4 years at least. This is no longer the secular military-run government of Turkey that was on such good terms with Israel a few years ago. It is a different government, and it is a threat.
All right, let's summarize then, just for the moment, John Kerry's mission to Israel and the Palestinian Authority. Fayyad is gone, and there is no discernible government right now in control at Ramallah. At the same time, the Saudi peace plan dates more than 10 years ago to a map that no longer exists. It's archival. And then we have the rapprochement with Turkey, which was at best aspirational, is now a fiction. Has that pretty much summed it up, Abe?
That's it. We seem to have moved backwards since President Obama's visit. But we did give him some nice gifts, so not all is lost.
The final twist here. Do you believe that John Kerry's peculiar inability to deliver on any of these major issues in his first embassy was a product of bad briefing, of him needing to be educated as Secretary of State, or do you believe that he's just not ambitious, and at this point he's willing to settle for the status quo ante of failure?
I believe that it's most likely your last option. I think it has to do with personality with him. Some of it has to do with the difficulties themselves being seemingly intractable at this point, and some of it may even have to do with the State Department always kind of running its own show, a little bit independent of what the president wants. So it's hard to say exactly what, but the one thing we do know is that there's not a lot of good remaining from President Obama's visit and the follow-up visit by Secretary Kerry.
Abe Katsman, Abraham Katsman, is an American attorney. He's a commentator in Israel, living there, and he serves as counsel to the Republicans abroad Israel. John Kerry's first embassy to the region we'd have to put down right now is incomplete. I'm John Batchelor. This is The John Batchelor Show.